Welcome to the Golden Feather. Grab a pint, a plate, and pick your seats. Your hosts, Vertek and Chibi Bree, are back from their latest adventure.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Golden Feather. Today is, the 7th of October, 2022? And, we have episode 142. We are here with Voxov, and the title for today was what? A box of bows? Box of bows?
A box of bows.
Voxov bows.
Thank you guys for having me.
How you doing today?
Good. How about you guys?
Doing pretty well.
Oh, fantastic. I'm glad to have you back. It's been a little bit.
It has, but Halloween's coming up. It's a good time for some creative ideas and some brainstorming. So
yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah.
We also have, as always, the lovely and talented Chibi. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well. I'm really happy it's Friday.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
It's been a week, but another time to sit down and relax and chat about some Ashes of Creation with our wonderful friends that join us.
Indeed. Speaking of wonderful friends who join us, for those who are not familiar with your name, can you give us a quick brief, who are you, what do you do, and what brought you to Ashes?
Sure. So I'm Voxov here. I was working with a lot of art, but now I'm working a little bit of game and software design as well. Ashes has been, it's inspiring to see just creators, and Stephen especially, as someone who wasn't directly a creator, just as a funder and now a very creative driver, pushing forward into creating essentially a lifelong dream for himself. And that's got to move something in everybody, I think, just to say this is going to be the world that I want, and then to say, and I'm making it for everyone else to share. I think there's something incredibly special and powerful about that. And one of the things that really makes Ashes special as a project, not just as an MMO, that if it comes to fruition as visualized, that's an if, but give them the benefit of the doubt. It'll be something really special. It's not supposed to be there to be a cash grab. It's there to be someone's actual fantasy, and that's something special.
Yeah, I agree. And I was actually just chatting with somebody over the weekend who doesn't know about Ashes of Creation, and was telling them that it's basically funded by Stephen completely. So it's really nice to know that, like, the option is there if you want to get something from the cash shop, but they're not just trying to take your money and stuff like that. But yeah, Sir Ensington says Stephen is building the world he will retire into. Amazing. And I agree. So what is the thing that drew you to Ashes initially? Is there any like one thing in particular that was just like, ooh, that's the game I want to follow?
That's a really interesting question. I was actually hosting some websites and technologies for some guilds who were moving into Ashes and getting really into it. And I said, sure, I'll look into it as well. And I saw the Kickstarter, and it seemed promising. I don't recall at that exact moment what really made it stand out, but I think a main aspect to me of MMOs is if you play with good people, you'll often have a good time. A terrible game, even with great people, can still be fun, ironically, in some cases. Yeah. So, when you have your group of friends going, you check it out. And then even as that situation went, and I moved away from some of those social groups, Ashes kept its momentum going, and I was following it. So still something really now that just stands out on its own that's really unique, and very optimistic about it.
That's really awesome. And actually, I would like to share something on behalf of the Golden Feather. Voxov has been kind enough to provide us with a server so that we may build our very own website. So Vertek and I are in the midst of working on that, and we hope to show you what we've been working on here soon, but we're not quite ready. I do want to say real quick, thank you. Ashes and Air, thank you Aberrat, thank you Brigand for the support. and
Absolutely.
the resubs.
Love you all.
We love your input. We love your viewership. And most of all, we love hearing what you guys think and what you think of our guests. And if you have anybody that you'd like us to have on, please always let us know. But most importantly, Voxov, you were talking about providing like a website for a couple of people for Ashes. And we were chatted about this a little bit beforehand. Is this something that you're willing to offer out to people like guilds and other things that are looking for a place to host their website?
Yeah, I'm hosting for a couple guilds. Just please be aware, I'm happy to host for you if you're looking to build a serious site. Space might be limited. I'm assuming I'm not going to get thousands of applicants, but yeah, I can give you a couple gigabytes and some great services through the providers. So feel free to let me know if that's something that you're in need of. I'm always looking to help the community.
Yeah.
Like a superhero he is. Check that out.
So you guys heard it first. If any of you guys have a guild master who's been looking to get a guild site up, or maybe you're looking to change over your provider, please check out Voxov. Voxov is also on Discord, but we have his Twitter, which is Box of Vox.
Yeah,
So.
speaking of which, Berg, just so you know, I didn't forget about you. Just haven't had time to dig through that whole video and get the audio balanced. But I will be getting that to you. That's on a priority list. It's near the top.
We've had
First
quite
is
the
sleep.
week.
'Cause, yeah, I haven't gotten much sleep this week. So first is sleep. But after
Yeah,
that
can
is definitely
confirm.
getting you that audio. Or
I'll wake
video,
up at
rather.
like 6 or 7 in the morning and he'll be coming to bed. But
To get my quick 3-hour nap before getting back to work again. Ugh.
so, I don't know what else to really chat about in terms of, unless there's anything else you'd like to share about yourself, anything you'd like to let the community know.
I am working on a software project right now. It's a little underbaked, so I'm going to be really excited to share with everybody sometime next year when it's a little better done. But I'm hard at work while following things. But if I'm quiet, it's not because I'm gone. I'm just got my nose to the grindstone.
And we're very excited to hear what that is. So whenever you are ready to share it, feel free to reach out. We'd love to have you on again then, if not before then.
Okay.
But the topics that I have picked out today are around the combat release and the other systems such as politics, alts, and even NPCs. And then we want to touch on a few conversation pieces around Intrepid's information, like the AMA and their feedback. And then we have some awesome memes that I found, a lot of memes this week compared to usual. So yeah, before we get into it though, we are sponsored by Factor 75, and we will be getting our food on, I believe, Monday the 10th. And we will be having this code that is up on the screen, as well as being put in the chat by Stream Elements. If you guys are interested in taking part of it, what it is a food service where you basically get to pick out your meals, and they're pre-made meals. So all you have to do is pop it into the microwave and eat it. So that seems to work the best with Vertec and my schedule. So we're giving that a try, and we'll let you know how it goes. But it's by HelloFresh, and if their normal subscription is to say anything about them, I think that Factor 75 will be just as good as their normal meal prep subscription, if not better, by saving us time.
Yeah. And just as a quick statement there, like we've been streaming here for, it's actually, believe it or not, it's over, I think 4 years now. Yeah, a little over 4 years now, because we started with the Party of Five in 2018. Mm-hmm. And we have never run any kind of an ad or sponsorship or anything. We've always just kind of like blown them off. But these things are things that we like. We actually truly enjoy them. Factor 75 I've been interested in for quite a while. And they just never really had a sale that I wanted to jump in just to give it a try. But here we are. And also, there will be things we're going to be revealing and showing you, some visual elements and such here very soon.
We're very excited.
Potentially by the end of the month, but we'll see about that. But once you see those, you'll see where this money right here is really important. And as a reminder, we are going to, if we get 5 subscriptions in there, more than just the 2 of us, which 2 of those 3 are us. Whoever did the 3rd one, thank you. We appreciate it. Then we're going to get a custom mug done up. It's either going to be like a handcrafted wooden mug, potentially with a metal interior, just for those who are worried about sanitary stuff with different polishes and wooden stuff. Or it might be one of those like the Viking style horns with a golden feather etched into it. We might even hand paint it on. Who knows?
That's something that Vertec and I've been chatting about a lot. But when it comes to sponsorships, we've been approached by a few people, and I kept turning them down politely just because I didn't feel like it fit with us, or I didn't like the product myself, and I just it doesn't fit. It didn't fit right with me.
Yes, go. Anyway, that was prompt number 4. Actually, that was prompt number 4.
We must say, as robotically as possible, we truly enjoy the product.
We are only doing this because... sorry, that's hard to... Give me a second. Because we truly enjoy the flavors that come out of this dish.
Okay.
But anyway, on to the stuff you're actually here for, right?
Yes. Let's get into topics of... topic number 1, combat. And this first topic comes from, a lot of this comes from Reddit. I was trying to look through the forums as well. It was a bit harder to find some decent stuff that were kind of on topic. But they were talking about, I have no idea how to say, okay, I guess it's YKZ Drop Dead. I don't know. That's the user's name. Says, why are people comparing the possible implementation of Ash's action combat to New World's when it was its worst implementation possible with clunky, slow movement? And then suggest that you look at BDO. But then they continue on with the conversation.
Sorry,
I got distracted by Sir Ramsington. Anyway, it's not you, it's us. BDO is much closer to Ash's with more skills, fast-paced movement, and wide character view, camera angles. New World has nothing to do with both. So they're just trying to suggest that people saying that the new reveal on the combat system is a lot like New World, whereas this poster is suggesting it's closer to BDO. I think it's cool. Thugly, thank you for the Prime sub. I think it's cool to see people comparing Ashes to some of these other games, including Guild Wars 2, which this kind of... Is this Guild Wars 2? This looks like Guild Wars 2.
Yeah, this is because there was another comment that kind of ties in with it, so I figured I'd get this one prepped up so people could actually see.
Yeah, so I guess I can go ahead and pop that in too, because this is, like you said, it's hand in hand. And somebody else was saying that for people that haven't played Guild Wars 2 and don't realize the combat system Intrepid is creating is emulating Guild Wars 2 combat, this is a short video that Dreo recorded for an argument previously showcasing how Guild Wars 2 auto attacks can be free-fired when not clicked. The hybrid system has been done before and done well. So what are your thoughts, Voxov?
So, I think this is a really fascinating question. I'm going to try to make it a concise answer, but this is really as much of a question of human perception as of game development, right? Because we like to compare things that are just kind of in the forefront of in our mind, even if they're not the most relevant. Mm-hmm. So they're personally relevant because people are going to be more likely to be picking up and playing New World right now than they're going to be getting into Guild Wars 2. I think there's a lot of new people, young, fresh blood, who are out there. And Guild Wars 2, it's aging a bit. So I played quite a bit of it, but Guild Wars 2 that is. But now I think much more, people are going to be getting into New World, and so it's the comparison because that's what else I would be playing, not that's the other system that's more like it. And I think that's why that comparison is being made.
Sorry, there's an ad. Forget the ad's not there.
But yeah, it's in terms of actually it coming and being that way. You know what? It's still too early. It's even what we've seen so far is still too early. Animations, everything. And one thing I'm going to put in, without hopefully getting too sidetracked, when you talk about a hybrid system, it needs to be not just a hybrid attack system. It also needs to be a consideration of how you dodge. And in the demonstrations we've seen, the enemy attacks still appear to be hit scan. Like when the air, what was it called? Air raid? Airstrike? Airstrike, thank you. Move was used. The enemy just shot and the projectile went straight upward and hit the player. So there's no ability to dodge there. So then maybe there will be. We don't know what's final. This could have just been a demonstration. It's still too early to make any type of final say. I think it's just definitely going in the right direction, from whatever I've seen compared to the previous iterations and the Battle Royale.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to look at with this because, it is in development. It is something that they're constantly working on. And, having this feedback, which we'll get to that in a second, I thought it'd be kind of cool to go through some of this. And even for the post-podcast Tavern Talk, maybe going through more in depth a lot of what people are saying and deciding whether or not people are agreeing or disagreeing with that. But I think it's interesting to... Sorry, the bot just welcomed the other bot. I think it's interesting. And for those that maybe are newer, because there's a lot of people that we've actually found that Ashes of Creation will be their first MMORPG. Can you explain what a hit scan is?
Yeah. You might know better than I, but to me, hit scan is when we're going to be passing essentially a math check and just to see, is the enemy there? And then yes, well then if you click on it, it's going to get hit. You're not really sending something out like a bullet or a projectile, as we're going to call it, and then as it travels, you're going to connect with the enemy. That whole step is skipped. You basically just say, is there something there? Okay, well then I'm going to say a bullet would take about 3 seconds to hit them. So I click on it, and then in 3 seconds, it takes damage. There's no ability to avoid it. And so what we saw in the clip was that when the player used the airstrike move and jumped over the enemy, the blue projectile, the water strike, just went straight from the enemy to the player. When it was on the ground, it went from the enemy to the player on the ground. And when the player went into the air, it went straight into the air and hit the player. There was no ability to dodge. Whereas a projectile, you'd be able to jump out of the way of, is in the true action combat. So we don't know if that's final or if it's just that ability, or maybe as you spec up a skill, maybe it becomes dodgeable. There's so many possibilities. But I think it's just preemptive. Yeah, it'd be cool, but who knows, right? It's just a preemptive, I think, to draw a line and say, yeah, it's going to be like New World. I think New World borrowed plenty from Ashes, but Ashes is in a very young and dynamic state where it can really make those changes as it needs to be where it needs to be. But one thing I will also add when we talk about Guild Wars 2, I think Terra did that as well, maybe even before Guild Wars 2, where you could have free aim and then lock onto an enemy and strafe and fire. So it's definitely been done well. And Terra, I think, was a little rigid in its system, but still very functional. I think Ashes can improve upon that even further.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to take a real quick second. Abarat, thank you so very much for the 5 gift subs. Yes. We super appreciate it. Can't believe you gifted a total of 70. Oh my gosh. You're too kind.
Much appreciated.
And yes, welcome in a wild hero. So I will let Vertek talk about the next one. I'm gonna go mark these off actually real quick. Actually, I think that's all I have really for the combat, but like even your input for what we're talking about with the different games. You played Guild Wars 2 yourself.
Yeah. I know there's...
Oh, you were sorry.
Well, either of you, yeah, you have more experience than me. I think I played like back in 2013 or something for a moment. So
Yeah, and I can because I know you're not the first one to say that it feels kind of dated with Guild Wars 2. But I think honestly it's not crazy dated. If anything, I feel it's on par with like World of Warcraft. Like there are certainly some geometry in some of the graphics that definitely stand out as this is not freshly released like in the past couple of years. And some of the systems, I think the feel of those are actually almost done on purpose like that. And it definitely has a Guild Wars 2 feeling, which harkens back to the original Guild Wars even. Like the design choices I think were made almost on purpose to do that. But I honestly, out of all the games that are out there right now currently, that's probably the one I enjoy the most just in general. It's kind of a tie between that and Final Fantasy, just because I'm always a Final Fantasy weeb. Anything Final Fantasy I'm all about.
that makes sense because they have a pretty. I mean, they've been around for how long now, right? I mean, you played Final Fantasy 11 and now 14. You like 14 much better because 11 had that XP debt, or they made it very grindy. What was the problem with 11? I never played it, so.
11 was just, I didn't enjoy the early game at all, and I don't know how the late game turned out, because it was just, you ran all across the map everywhere. It was nothing but running. I'd run for 45 minutes to turn in a quest that took me 7 minutes to complete once I got there.
Yeah.
So it's literally over an hour to complete a 7-minute quest just because I'm running, not because it took a lot of things to do, but I was running the whole time.
And was there any mounts in Final Fantasy 11, or was it literally just foot?
There were. I didn't get up to that point.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Which could add to the frustration, I imagine, because in Ashes of Creation, there's not going to be any fast travels, right?
Yeah. But at the same time, they're also densely packing a lot of content with just how the nodes are going to develop and such. So you only have to run around and adventure if you want to.
Yeah.
If things are getting stale, or because you've somehow completed every single quest that area can offer and the node is completely leveled up and you have nothing to do but travel. I mean, I'll be going around because I like to explore anyway, but that's because it's my own choice. If the game's going to force me to run around and run for an hour to get somewhere, that's when I call it a little ridiculous.
That's fair. When did Guild Wars 2 release the last update?
Oh, the last update? Probably like a month ago. They put out updates all the time.
Okay. And Guild
They're
Wars 2
very active with stuff.
That's fair. Yeah. I think they had an expansion recently. Run with the purpose. Don't just let me run. Yeah. Guild Wars 2 came out in what year? 2012. Okay, so it's been 10 years since Guild Wars released itself. And then I think I saw somewhere on the forum somebody was talking about like ES6 being roughly about 10 years since that as well, or just Elder Scrolls in general. So like even World of Warcraft has been around for a while, and we have a lot of these games that are a bit older, and then, to Voxov's credit, there's New World, which is much newer comparatively. In fact, it just recently came out. So there's this Dougly. My word.
Whoa.
Thank you.
Holy mackerel.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much.
Welcome in, new patrons. I don't know. Just
surprise, it's branded subs. That'd be fantastic.
But like we have a lot of these older games to compare to, right? And it's hard because these things have worked, but then obviously we want change. And there's been a lull. I'm sure there's lots of games that have tried between now and then, but many have failed. So it's one of those things. For me, I have a hard time comparing combat because that's not something I technically pay attention to. I can tell when it's not so great, but I can't nitpick the combat the way that other people can for whatever reason. I just like does it feel natural or comfortable for me to fight in this game? Cool. That's all I care about. Do I feel like I'm missing when I shouldn't be missing? That's when I get a little bit more frustrated. Like, why like, I swear I hit that. Why didn't it work? Like, that's more when I pay attention to that kind of thing. So I unfortunately have nothing to say about this part of the conversation topic, but I do enjoy games like Horizon Zero Dawn, Final Fantasy 14. I did enjoy World of Warcraft. And it's just one of those things where I'm interested in seeing how this feels myself, because I'm a more hands-on person when it comes to some of this. But it looks cool.
And one other thing I'd point out is it's okay to let things kind of evolve as they are, also because there are paradigms out there people have not seen or never yet experienced. One that was an accident, which was in my mind one of the greatest MMO battle systems ever, was in the game Neverwinter. And when it came out, there was fall damage for enemies, and the single most efficient way to proceed through the game was to use nothing but CC attacks, or basically, crowd control, and cluster your enemies and throw them off of cliffs, which meant damage was completely irrelevant. And it was a physics-based game. It was physics-based combat. You would just knock them around and try to cluster them, and they'd have their own physics attacks, and they'd knock you, and you didn't want to get knocked either. And so it was this bizarre, almost like bumper cars game. And rogues ruined it all because they had no CCs, and they just didn't want to feel left out, so they insisted, DPS matters, and then they actually fixed it, and now it looks like a regular MMO. But for the first month or so it was out, it was something entirely new that I had never even considered, just to have a game where the numbers didn't matter and you just bang each other on the head back and forth and went flying everywhere. Maybe more Rocket League than anything else. But there are some battle systems we haven't seen out there, so let developers have some free rein to create their ideas, and maybe we'll see something a little new. I'm ready for it.
Absolutely. I think like Steven and the team are doing their best to not only produce something that feels natural, but also a little bit on the newer side.
Yeah.
Were people screaming, "What a save in New World"? I have no idea. I know New World did do a lot of changes to their systems recently, and there was a whole debate on should they restart the servers. Oh, Neverwinter, my bad. I forgot there's two NWs now. My bad. I've never actually played Neverwinter. I've always considered it, but then I was like, I want to go play actual D&D instead.
And really quick, it was brought to my attention there's no music. Can anybody confirm that real quick?
I hear it now.
Okay.
It just
had to
started.
turn it up, I suppose.
Okay. Yeah.
I know I've been keeping it a little bit low, but yeah, I guess it was just too low.
Nair says it's a little loud now, perhaps. They're likely getting quieter when people are talking.
Yeah, that's on purpose. Maybe I need to tune that down a little bit so it doesn't drop as much.
Okay.
I will do this thing.
This is the song of my peoples. Yes. I saw somebody say that because we have the auto bot kind of going through and talking about PG and music, saying that Delana's a bit aggressive. And I can absolutely see that. He's definitely straight to the point kind of person, but that's also what I like about him is like he'll give it to you straight. He won't beat around the bush. But it can be a lot to handle sometimes. So I absolutely understand that. That's why we always find it a little amusing when people are raiding us, especially when Paradox Gaming raids us, because you have Paradox and then you have us for a whole other feeling entirely. Yeah. So New World CC, we do not have a date yet. We are waiting with bated breath. So as soon as we know, we will be announcing that, or maybe putting it up somewhere. But hopefully soon. It sounds like things are working out favorably within the studio. That is all we know.
Yeah, things are looking really, really good. There's a lot of people that, after seeing some of the more recent stuff and really putting 2 and 2 together with a lot of the statements of what's going to be ready for Alpha 2 and what they've shown is ready and what we can kind of extrapolate what might be ready, that Alpha 2 might be coming really soon. And after that, honestly, like once they get the combat done, it might go really quick. Who knows? It's just... Yep. Gotta recover from that cyber psychosis. The steam psychosis, yeah, because he's steampunk over there. Yeah.
I said I was told I was going to get a ranger reveal, and I got here are 3 ranger abilities, so that let me know with all sight. I mean, it was a pretty big ranger reveal in my opinion, just because the bows were always broken during Alpha 1 and like APOC, I think. So I feel like they did a decent job with it, but I understand, like, they definitely teased a couple of the abilities, like ranger abilities that they do. So I absolutely feel that. But they did spend a lot of time with going through the different combat types that you can do as a ranger. And so I think that was their way of just trying to show it off as best as possible. And that's not me necessarily trying to like defend them. I'm just saying I understood why what we had was maybe feeling lackluster in comparison. I think they did, yes, Golid.
Exactly, Golid. The demo stream recording did not crash, so that's one big step forward.
Yeah.
But to be fair, we now have, if you think about it, we now have more of a reveal for Ranger than we do of any other class. Because all the other classes we had like kind of roughshod abilities just kind of thrown in for testing purposes for Alpha 1. And they were all kind of present for the Apocalypse anyway, so...
Yeah. I think the only thing that is more hype than Class Kids is literally the big node system reveal. Absolutely. I think they were just throwing out 3 abilities for each. Yeah. But the next system is actually the next topic is actually the other systems that Ashes has to offer. Is there anything that's kind of peeking out at either of you? The politics, the alt stuff, or the ocean combat? I know it says ocean combat, but it's talking about NPCs.
Yeah, I have plenty to say about all of them.
Is there one that you want to tackle
for
first?
Everything.
Sure, let's start with alts.
Perfect.
The alt funneling. I think fundamentally, I just want to say alt funneling, it will always be fundamentally useful to have an alt at some level, even if it's your exact same character, just ported in at a different location, because you can just say, I'm going to gather at this one node that has a lot of resources, and then at the end of a month or every other month, I'm going to go and run it all to this other place where I can sync up and get all my stuff to in one point. It's really a game design sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah.
It's really a game design type of thing where the devs are going to have to find a way to either make it equally profitable to just stay on one character and keep farming, it's a very hard economic balance, but it's maybe possible. They're going to have to make it so fun that you're not going to want to log off and be on your other character, which could be, or they'll have to put in a couple artificial locks, things like having to be at certain arbitrary high levels to gather certain types of things, which isn't, in my opinion, very fun, but it's functional. So, they're always going to have some form of alt funneling, but there are things they can do to mitigate it, but you can't really just get rid of it because it's fundamentally, it's a teleport.
Yeah.
It's free travel.
Yeah. And OP from Reddit, u/Yashimasta. I'm sorry if I said it wrong.
You can do it.
But they're essentially saying they enjoy running ults on some games, but those characters should be in their own adventure and not just as a mean to bolster your main character. We have some opinions in the chat on ults and stuff like that. But what is your opinion for attack?
I think that you're never going to get rid of some form of alt funneling just because they literally are all your character, and you can't master everything on any one character in any game except for like Final Fantasy. That's the only one. Final Fantasy 14 is the only one where you can take one character and have every single class on it. But then that also gets rid of some of your storage space and things like that, so that stuff becomes a premium. But yeah, you're always going to have another character that does this thing or that thing better, and you'll just send things to yourself. But it's similar in fashion to having just another friend, right? Just one you don't always, or you never really charge for their efforts, right? Just this works better for that character, so I'm going to give it to that character, and that character finds something, this is going to work better for that other character, so here we go, take it.
Yeah.
You know, I need these kind of mats for that thing, and I need these kind of mats for that thing, and you're just free trading back and forth. But if it gets to the point like Yashimasta said, I'm gonna pretend that's how it's pronounced, where it just becomes more efficient to just switch to an alt and just funnel stuff over. Like, somebody actually made a video about how you can make the most money in, I think it was Guild Wars 2, and it was literally just get a bunch of alt accounts, save up all the daily login stuff for like 2 months, and then suddenly you're rich. Like, beyond belief, you're rich. Abarat, thank you so much again. Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. You know what?
You're
Hold on,
so very much appreciated.
I'm gonna DM Vertex something real quick. But oh my
Total
gosh, thank you so much,
75
Tobias.
gift
They
subs you've given.
Oh, there's a couple
is
names there I
bananas.
haven't seen in a while. So battle it is. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. I super appreciate that. But yeah, you were saying about the alts and stuff.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, as long as it's not just something like that where it just becomes more efficient to get a bunch of alt accounts and a bunch of alt characters and just like log in daily and do a single thing, and then that's the best way to make money or something, then I don't think it's ever really going to be too much of an issue, because you figure, even Voxov, you have a point there with like, it's basically a teleport, but it's basically a teleport if you've already put in all that effort to that other character, because then you may as well just say that, you know, you log in every day to check that thing with that character anyway, and if that's your only character, then it wouldn't be seen as a bad thing. But if it's an alt, it shouldn't be seen as a bad thing either, because you put in all that work to get to where you are. And I think that's part of the value behind needing to be of higher level to do things like harvest certain resources. But I like how Final Fantasy did it, where your harvesting level also helps you out when it comes to kind of surviving in the areas too. So you can actually get to certain areas that have difficult stuff. You're not going to be a, you know, kick-ass warrior by any means whatsoever, but you'll survive better than a level 1 that has 500 mining, and you're going out into, you know, level 50 area to mine something, and you get slaughtered by the first thing that like looks in your direction and huffs. So maybe that's a way that they can help get around it, but who knows.
My input on alts is I don't mind there being alts. Where was it? Sorry. As Golid had said, you'll have to use alts to get different profession mastery. You know, and also relying on your guildmates to kind of help out with that. But also the idea of saving time by pre-parking your alts for specific tasks. So if I want an alt that goes out and does all the harvesting, I can park them near an area where I want to go harvest stuff and send it over to my main, and then allow me to go on my main and mass produce, or vice versa. Maybe because my main goes out and explores a lot, I can send it over to my alt and have my alt mass produce like potions and stuff. But yeah, alts are friends for Artisan. Yeah. He does Everett. But yeah, I think there's a lot of things. Some things that the community is saying. Ashes and Air says mule arts. Mule alts.
Yeah, that's apparently a tactic that's not going to work too well in Ashes.
Abarat says, I think you should be able to look up alts on a website resource, in which there's some conversation about, relying on community to know who else has like their alts. Like, for example, usually my system of having alts is by putting chibi something in front. So chibi Bree, chibi Aurelia, chibi, I think I had chibi Hunter once. So like just chibi something and trying to like make it fashioned the same to make it obvious that it was me. But then Bergen says, that's funny. Never thought to make an alt that's the exact same character, quote unquote. And then let's see. Yeah, another one about the freehold. I can see how perhaps having an alt place at the freehold to handle farming or processing chores and such is useful. I agree. But then Golid said that he didn't want ASA to be like ArcAge in terms of alts. And I had asked him to elaborate because I've never played ArcAge. So in ArcAge, you use your alts labor and daily quest rewards to funnel to your main account to progress gear. And I thought that might be interesting. Not like in terms of I would like that, but interesting in terms of I've never experienced that. But then they were talking about dailies and stuff like that, and possibly the overuse of dailies and perhaps being a economic thing rather than somehow helping out in another way. But yeah, I imagine that like because I think it was Burgund or Thogli? Someone was saying I'd be happy with no dailies. Daily I'll be doing is visiting a local tavern. Aww. Burgund said I'd be happy with 0 dailies. Thogli said he'll be joining a local tavern. But yeah, I think
Golid says the only daily Golid wants us to have fun.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah, and I think alts should be there to either experience a different storyline or somehow enhance your main character in a fashion in terms of, I can support myself if let's say our guild, I doubt this is going to happen, but let's say our guild dies and I don't have anybody to play with for a while, then I would still like to be able to explore and go through things. But if I have to do that through an alt, then I'm okay with that. It just, yeah, go for it.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it just sounds like it would just really slow down gameplay to do that.
Definitely. And I'm just wondering, do we really have any info on how many alts you're going to be able to have on a server?
I think you're gonna have up to 8 other characters. 8 or 10.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Let's see. Alts. Let's see if I can find something on that official.
Okay, so while you're doing that, Abra has a couple of questions for Voxov. The first one is, how do you think the naval combat will work out?
Naval combat. So that's kind of our next point here, the ocean combat.
Mm-hmm.
So after seeing the map on that world map reveal last month, it means that naval speed overall is going to be very fast, right? Because the world has a lot of water. If you're going to be able to transverse that, you need to be able to move extremely fast on the water, I think, especially compared to land. That is interesting to me. I wonder if it means if you fall off a boat, you're going to get left behind. I wonder what that means in terms of will mobs in the water that are monsters be moving the same as humanoid events? For example, if there were, someone mentioned like a pirate ship, and if there was something like that, would it have to be scripted so that you could actually have a chance to encounter them rather than just pass? So how do I think it would play out? Fast and frantic is really what I'm seeing, like with that map, because it's huge. To think about what does it even say? It's going to take like hours to run across the map. or it's
Yeah.
like 75 minutes to run across just a continent. So if you think about that versus, you're going, if you're actually going to make a water journey and it would take 75 minutes to cross the continent, is it going to take you 75 to 90 minutes to go across a pool every time? Probably not. But if it does, it's either going to be a very long and committed thing where if something attacks you midway, it's going to be a major issue if you lose that cargo, or you're going to be moving really, really fast and it's just going to be absolutely insane breakneck speed pace. So I'm not sure which of the two. I'd love some more information, but we really have to think about just how you're going to cover that much space, because that map is enormous.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll save the other question for the random section. But yeah, that really does tie in with the next topic that we have coming up. But I think Vertec may have the information by this point.
Which one?
The thing you were looking up about alts.
Oh, yes. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of info on that. The only thing I was able to find was a quote from Steven saying, "There will be a comfortable level of character slots available to players because we are a subscription model game." Probably meaning we're going to give them enough to have fun and experiment, but not too many, so that if they want to have 10 alts because they're super big into role-playing or whatever, then they're going to need to get a second subscription.
Makes sense. I agree with what Nerd said. A1 had 8 slots, enough for like 1 per archetype kind of thing. And that's kind of what laid out the groundwork in my head for one server for like 8 different clerics, with the secondary archetypes being different.
Yeah, and see, that's what I'm okay with. I would probably like to have more myself, and that's just because with so many different variations on all the different classes and whatnot, I got to be able to at least try all the classes. At least try all the classes. Now, depending on how they do the secondary archetype choices, I might want to have 2 tanks, because I might want 1 tank that can... Steven confirmed there's going to be some form of multi-specking. Now, I don't know if that's going to be just 2 you have to choose from like many games do, or if you can choose 3, 4, or any of them and save multiple loadouts, 1 for each, and then you switch in town. But if there's only 2 or 3 available and I want to try all the tanks, and I really like how some of them perform in different situations, I'm going to want to level 2 tanks all the way up.
That makes sense.
Without having to... Okay, now I can't play a bard because I have no slots available for bard.
Or it's like go to a whole other server just to play it.
I like how Overthrow chose the exact same archetype to throw off.
Wow,
Yeah,
I called
like that. Good call. Good call.
I will go ahead, and I think I'll bring us straight into the ocean combat conversation piece, where this is off of the forums. One of the few that I was able to get. But they were talking about being able to have added NPC ships that travel from one port to another that players can raid, like a player ship. And some people were saying, why would you need that? There's like players for that, or hey, there's like the underwater creatures. But to me it made sense, because if you think about it, in a lot of the land areas you have bandits that you come across, right? Little groups of bandits that you fight. So why not have little groups of pirates or bandits on the ocean? What are your thoughts?
I like the idea myself. I mean, that's something. This is something that's going to be very new to me. I haven't really played many games that really do multiplayer naval combat. The closest thing that I've done to something like that is with Black Flag. That's about it, to be honest.
Same.
Like there was naval combat, I guess, to a sense in old Ultima Online, but it wasn't really like, I don't recall it being in depth and meant to be naval combat so much as, you can get a ship and you can float around and do stuff and fish out in the ocean, and people can pull up next to you and kill you. But it wasn't really designed to be like actual naval combat that I recall. Maybe I missed that part.
Yeah. What do you think, Voxov?
I think it's a neat idea with the node system and the way that cities are going to come up dynamically depending on how they're developed, as well as the strong racial influences. I wouldn't want all cities to be able to have the same type of bandits or something. Maybe if one particular race has something equivalent more to the traditional, I'm not sure how familiar people are, but historically, many pirates were actually officers in Europe of other armies who just lowered their flag and put up a pirate flag so you could attack the enemy without having to be an active war. Or you could have it be more like the Southeast Asia and be like a spice trade, kind of steal their cargo. There's a lot of different motivations that have kind of all been boiled down to this whole Pirates of the Caribbean, I'll get you, you get me type of thing. But if we look historically, piracy and what we call the brigands or whatever you want to call them at ports really happened for a very large and diverse amount of reasons. You can even look at people who were just looking to make legitimate trade, who were seen as heretics or by other religious entities. So you could have contextually very different reasons for these type of things, where someone could have just landed to port, just like, hey, we just want to trade. All we want to do is to see if you want to buy our wares. What are they? Well, there's some torture devices for heretics, but kill all the non-believers, but we thought you might be interested. Well, now maybe you want to fight them off. Maybe it's not because you're raiding them, maybe it's for socio-political reasons, or maybe you have a place where it's like a free-for-all and it's a contested zone and a port, and you can even do PvP while you do it. I would just want to see some variety and not just random. I'd like it to be contextual, and I think that would be more meaningful rather than saying, yes, any port might just have bandits one day.
Yeah. I kind of think that that's interesting because Abra had put that they hoped that Intrepid or Ashes puts a lot of effort into making the AI mobs react similar to how players would react. But what you were talking about kind of gave me a fun little image in my head where maybe a bunch of bounty hunters can go out, masquerading as like the, whole can attack people without causing war necessarily. So the idea of bounty hunters going out and finding corrupted players to try to take them out. But I guess it's going to be a little bit harder considering it's open ocean PvP, like you're automatically flagged. So that one might be a little bit more difficult, but it's kind of what brought me to mind, like the olden day kind of not bandits, but bounty hunters almost, by lowering the flags and being a pirate instead. But also imagine an event maybe where like you have to fight maybe a group of pirates or something for your loot or something as like a little boss mob, I think that would be kind of fun.
It could be a great scripted event while you're on the open seas too, rather than just randomly running into them. Like you go into a zone that's loaded behind the scenes and all of a sudden pirates appear. Would be awesome. Or make a cloud of fog and then they come out of the fog, something like that. I think they do it really dramatically.
I could even imagine it being where you're living on one of those island nodes and a ship just approaches one day and has like mobs trying to attack you. Sir Unzington says, I like Voxov's take on pirates having many different avenues to loot or insidious whatever different path they want to take. How would different pirate paths be implemented in game, and what would they look like?
How would it be? So we have information a little bit on the different types of cultures in the nodes. We know some are also going to have very strong religious influences that Steven says he wants to save for lore reasons. But basically, if you have something like a religious node, and it's developed differently, it would have a very different type of port if it's under a theocracy. And that's going to have a very different structure than you have like a scientific node, or an economic node, which might just have, hey, anything's open for trade. The economy comes first. So you can have those type of things where certain items may be marked or flagged. And you see this already in other games where you have like a stolen items are already flagged and you can't resell them. So it's not hard to do. It's just extra work. There's always feature creep as a problem. But I think within the scope of having these nodes, as Stephen described them, you could definitely have different events, especially if there's scripted events where different types of bandits appear at nodes, and have them basically have some be non-hostile and you can choose to make them hostile.
Yeah.
Whereas others would be automatically just, hey, free for all. And third would just be they're neutral. And then it's a contested PvP round.
Yeah, I think those are all interesting. I'm interested in seeing how, if this can even be implemented, how it would be implemented. What are your thoughts, Vertec?
I would love to see if, similar to what Voxov was saying about there needs to be some kind of context to it, not just like, hey, there's bandits, and who are they? We don't know. They just showed up and they were trying to burn stuff and such. But if there was actually an evolving pirate/bandit storyline, it was totally like a side quest type thing, but it just existed in the world. And you wouldn't know about it unless you tried to actually go out into the sea and chase down some of these bandits that were, getting away from an unsuccessful port raid. And that way it would give people something to discover, plus just be something kind of fun to follow through that whole storyline. But you have to actively pursue it instead of just bumping into it in town as a quest or something. I think something like that would be really, really neat. And something like that could even follow through with the different paths of a pirate, aside from just following their peg leg footprints. Not sure if you saw that comment, but that's what we were laughing about. Overthrow put out, you can tell a pirate path by the peg leg footprints, and it really tickled our funny bone immediately. But yeah, that could even be something that could, speaking of context, different types of bandits could raid different types of ports based on the node that exists there. And or the type of crafting maybe that typically occurs in the area, or the type of trade that typically occurs in the area, and they're targeting that specifically. So you could end up finding storylines maybe of different types of pirates developing in different parts of the world and whatnot by actively pursuing them and trying to find out what's going on, who are these people, and why do they keep attacking our town.
Yeah.
Was her name
Sorry.
Eileen?
We were talking about well, not me, but I'm reading chat. Sir Unsington says, religious pirate sounds like my first RP attempt. Meatloaf says, Sir Unsington, I made a character like that, crafted up a rogue cleric, and his religion was golden treasure. Like a cult of adventurers. Oh my gosh. Name was Squab. Nice. I was also making the... Oh, go ahead.
Pardon, I was just a little historical context. There were a lot of places like that, but I was thinking particularly of Japan and the Dutch trade, where Japan had blocked many Western traders, and it's happened in a number of places around Southeast Asia. But I was thinking specifically in Japan, due to religious reasons, they had blocked the trade, and so they were allowed to trade at only one port. So it could be that the sailors are the religious entity, or usually not, to be honest. It could be, unless they're visitors, it could be the country that they're visiting is very restrictive, and they simply don't want those people, and therefore they are seen as inherently bad. You can really contextualize it either way, but there's some great historical premise for that, which in a game flagging it is not hard to do. You just need to create a good lore reason, I think, to make it exist in that world.
That's actually kind of cool and interesting. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, that's at least the one cool thing is, I mean, Steven already has a bunch of lore. That's the really cool thing about this beginning as a Pathfinder game, is that he's had to make up some lore over the years just to fill things in and tell a good story. And so there's a lot of stuff to work with, and a lot of things that already tie in. So you never know, there could very well be some pirate societies, because you got to come up with somebody for your players to fight, right?
Speaking of players to fight, let's get into that. Politics in Ashes of Creation. This post specifically is by UWG grad student. and talking about, as we know, politics will play a huge role in Ashes of Creation. As an old Eve player, that is an exciting aspect I'm eager to see in action. Judging by your experience in other games, what surprises do you foresee happening early in each server's development? Will there be backstabbing and betrayals at a high level? Will guilds have rigorous requirement standards immediately to try to prevent betrayals? Will guilds from other MMOs migrate here and have leadership infrastructure already, which is already a thing that's happening? Will new leaders emerge and create new systems that beat older groups from other MMOs? What are your thoughts?
I'm thinking that right off the bat, people might try to take a strong stand, but it's going to be very difficult for them to act in a particular direction without knowing what an evolved node is going to create or evoke in an area in terms of encounters and end game. So they may rise really quickly and then realize, oops, that's not like the node that we foresaw or the end game that we would have wanted most for ourselves. And I think it also really speaks to Rodek's point earlier that in games where you have to kind of just clear out an area and then there's nothing else to do, that can get pretty boring. So it could just be people who don't want to run around the map a lot and they want things happening at home more. You could just fight your neighbor just for the sake of, hey, we just want to see the node change, but we don't want our node to change. So we're going to change your node to create new events at home. I think that's a super valid reason to attack your neighbor, to basically see, just let's see what happens. And it's awesome that a game actually gives you that option. Like, hey, let's kill the guys next door. Why? I don't know, a dragon might appear. Really? Yeah, in Ashes it might happen. That's crazy and cool.
And
you know what's
then
going to be
also...
really...
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, the feeding directly off of that, what's going to be really interesting is the first time that happens with specifically that conversation. Like someone releases a video on YouTube about what happened when like the stars aligned and these things happened with their node. It got to tier 6, and then this other node next to it got to a tier whatever, and then when they unlocked this and this other node unlocked that, suddenly this event happened. And somebody somewhere is going to have a conversation with the rest of their like town leadership and go, we need to take out that node and move there, because this is the thing that happened. This is what we need to do. We need to take them down. We need to move ourselves over there, and like or let someone take us down or something. There's gonna be some kind of a conversation about that, about how a certain node needs to be formed up. So we need to kill this node so we can raise that one over there up really fast. It's going to happen, guaranteed.
There's also the other idea of as people begin getting to like the 3rd and 4th level of nodes and we start beginning to realize what type of node is what, there's going to be probably a little bit of a competition of, no, we want ours to be level 6 first. And so I imagine that adding a little bit of interesting strife, unless people just absolutely agree, like, yeah, sure, that should be the primary node and we're happy with ours being a vassal node instead, kind of thing. And I am interested in seeing how all of that ends up playing out. And maybe, there might be a bit of backstabbing with the whole, oh, sure, we'll help you, only until, like, this happened, like, I don't know, I'm failing to draw any of the comedies at mind, but I'm sure there's one somewhere where they're, helping and like, what happened? Things changed. Decided to do something different now. Maybe the node leveled and then nothing happened. So you're like, okay, I'm not helping you anymore. I'm gonna go over here instead. But yeah. You get along by siding with the big dog. Can't we all get along? I'm looking forward to the benefits of being vassal. Absolutely. Any unofficial PvE server will attract the most toxic PvP guilds. Probably. I am a disruptor by nature. I like to fight the man.
You know what I do wonder is, for one, if there's going to be a mayor that's going to try to run on any node with the intent and platform of Well, what we're doing is we're trying to experience everything. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this, like my goals are, get this node to tier 6, experience everything we can possibly unlock in the area with the vassals, and then we're moving people. We're going to find another node that we found information on that's going to have really cool stuff to do, and we're going there. And we're going to found it, and we're going to raise it up really quick because the entire town is just moving. We're going to have a fire sale. We're going to announce it to the server. People can war on the node, whatever, to tear it down, and we're just going to start a new one.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And
I think
I wonder if that could be successful even.
And I think Stephen kind of said in the not on the last live stream, the one before this, that the people who contribute most to the development of the node are likely not going to be the end game players. It's going to be the giant group of just kind of casual players who just kind of going about are going to have a lot of those little points to their crew. And the way I think they're envisioning this is that it's going to be a 3-pronged development system where you're going to have to decide as a guild, am I pursuing a castle node? Am I pursuing the development of my main node to tier 6? Or am I, what was the other one? Well, there's 3, oh yeah, PvP, sorry. Raids, there's PvP, and because those are 3 completely. Sorry?
Oh, it just sounded like you cut out for a second, so I was just
did I?
But then you came right back, and I was like, oh, okay, there we go.
So there are 3 basic prongs to development where you can pursue your node development, you can pursue the castle, which is going to take a ton of time and resources or you're not going to be able to put into your node, or you can just go off and try to do like world first raiding and things like that. So I think especially early game, it's not going to be an easy thing just to say we're going to get T6. I think that's going to be a very specialized kind of type of goal.
Yeah, sorry. Between Abarat and Meatloaf, they're starting a war with the dwarves in our chat. And then I guess to kind of bring it in, we're already at 8:14, but bring it over to the more official stuff. This is just kind of a general, I guess, I don't know what the word is to say, I guess comment towards the devs about the last stream from Merwin, saying, in response to many posts from vocal minority mourning for more action combat feel, I would like to just remind the devs that the majority of your supporters stay behind you, and we are happy with the presented direction. And a lot of people inside of the comment section are saying like, yeah, I'm extremely happy with it. Like one thing someone brought up was that with the race class restrictions, it may look kind of funny to see a dwarven ranger using an airstrike ability, but otherwise I agree it was great. And then, that obviously divulged into other smaller conversations. But I just kind of wanted to mention that, I do hear people wanting, their, I need them only considering my opinion. I do hear, people wanting to have their whole, if you're super into that type of combat and something like that is being presented as a possibility, that they want it to be perfect, and I'm sure Intrepid wants to be perfect, which is why they have their feedback for the basic range weapon attack. Smaller conversations about tolerance. But they were asking things like, what aspects of the basic range attacks are important to you? What are the types of basic range weapon attacks in other games that you feel are done well? And so on and so forth. I listed out the link there. But I think these are good, important questions that Intrepid is asking, because without this feedback, there is going to be that, hey, this doesn't feel exactly how I'd like it to feel. And, this is just showing them, like as Ashes of Creation is trying to utilize a hybrid combat system, it's something that they're trying to get a better feel of what the community is wanting out of it. So with that in mind, what are your thoughts?
In terms of getting the feedback, or
The feedback, your feedback specifically.
yeah. I think it's amazing that they're able to implement a lot of this. They really do seem to be working hard in terms of everything they've changed so far. They really took it to heart since the Battle Royale, and they've made amazing progress.
I would agree.
It was not. I mean, I played since the beginning, and it was not anywhere near as fun as it is now. I'll try to put it positively. It's so much more fun now and better looking now. And they're just constantly moving in what I think is the right direction. So based on that trajectory, it gives me a lot of optimism, because clearly they were just roughing things in, and they knew where they wanted to be, and then just taking the time it takes to get there. But to anyone who's not familiar with, especially game design, which I think a lot of people aren't, everything, especially like little animations and stops and cooldown times, play such a huge part in how the combat feels.
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough to really gauge a combat until it's done. And I'm sure the devs don't want to put in all those little animations and then say, oh, now we have to tweak all the little animations because we got more feedback. So absolutely give feedback, and let them get closer to where they need to be in terms of that hot cold first, and then they can polish it to its best. That feedback is invaluable.
I agree. And before Vertec mentions anything, I just remember, I don't know if Vertec remembers this too, during Alpha 1 where they were like, oh, it doesn't feel like it's actually hitting very well. And they adjusted slightly the animation. And people are like, it's doing so much more damage. And they're like, we didn't change anything except for the animation slightly.
Exactly.
The audio, the visuals, the timing of both, and like you were even saying there, Voxov, the cooldowns being even like 0.2 seconds different can make a world of tactile difference.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And the even trickier part behind that is some people even have different preferences for all of the above. So you got to dial into what you're really trying to get as the designers and hope that it hooks enough people.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think, by the way, I think Cash Cush's deep feelings about the showcase came out because he called it the Combat Showcase.
Yeah, I was gonna make a joke about that too, so he beat me to the punch. But yeah, I honestly, I'm really happy, and I mean, this is something I want to highlight that that Abarat said. Like, honestly, however you filled out Intrepid, have you ever had a game company ask for so much input? And this is the point exactly. Like, if anybody is saying like, hey, I can't afford this, and I mean, I've been preaching this for years. Those of you that have been here for a while, you would be able to vouch for this. But yeah, if you want to have input on the game and you want to help shape it, you don't have money to get into the alpha, you don't have money to get into the betas, honestly, watch the live streams, study this content that they're putting out, this video that Vertec, I think is what you just linked, this video is playing.
No, I linked out something from Meatloaf.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Covering Ranger archetypes a few months ago.
There you are. You know, look at these. Look at how they change. Look at how they evolve. Give your input. What games have you played? What games are you playing? What games do you like most? They always ask for your input, and it's free. It just takes a bit of time on your part to answer, but that bit of time can really change things. Look at this might be a bit of a hot topic, but look at multi-boxing. Steven had a stance on it. The community spoke up, and then he reconsidered. So that, if nothing else, shows you how open-minded Intrepid is going into all of this. And I really do, I really do think that, you know, people taking their time and giving their feedback. I'd give feedback if I had an opinion. I don't really have an opinion because, again, I'm not very combat oriented. It looks good to me. I'll be happy with whatever they play. And also, that's not my class. That's not my primary class. So I don't have as much picky stipulations, not sticky piculations. Picky stipulations on anything. As maybe like Vertec did with the tank. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I mean the one thing I can say about Ranger is I'm really hoping it combines well with tank, because I would love to do some tanking that has some ranged aspects to it.
That would be pretty neat, I have to say. I also want Chibi, Dwarven Bard is your primary class, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Dwarf is primary archetype. But yeah, could you imagine a tank trying to gather a big old mob of ads together using the airstrike, just jumping over them, flashing that down, gathering everybody up, shooting some stuff, like pulling out his bow instantly for a quick shot around to grab something at distance and taunt them, doing another airstrike over the group, and then just unleashing all tanky anger.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah. I can see that. By the way, Abra, I don't know if you missed it, but when we had Thogli and Brigand on, we ended up, I don't know how this came about, but now I have to make an alt character that's dwarf. So
what I was imagining for a tank ranger is, I know the tanks can make a little wall, but rather than having a wall in front of them, you shoot up a giant rain of arrows, and instead of the arrows doing much of damage, it rains down and makes a palisade, like a giant wall of arrows, and actually blocks the enemies, and have it be a physical wall rather than a damage spell. So I think there's a lot of ways you can combine tank and ranger that would be pretty innovative.
Yeah, I'm really interested in seeing how that works together.
Oh my gosh, Fortnite enters Ashes.
Oh no. Moving on.
Digest. That's a terrible idea. But no, I do like the idea of your idea. To say.
The idea of your idea.
I like the idea of your idea. It sounds neat. Like there's so many things they could do.
Yeah. So Stephen is doing an AMA next Friday at 11 a.m. PDT, 2 p.m. EST, or EDT, I guess, to keep it with the time. But we're looking forward to that. I know that Vertek and I are going to be kind of trying to catch that as much as possible. Unfortunately, it is a Friday, which is our most busy day, but we can do it for Ashes of Creation's live stream. We can do it for an AMA. There's a lot of people that were actually a little bit upset that the AMA is happening on Reddit. And some of the explanation as to why is Reddit is more geared towards doing AMAs, where they can filter through the more upvoted questions and things like that a little easily, or more easily rather, than they can do on the forums. And there's, as much as, Reddit has that toxic reputation, if you will, it is also a great place that, a lot of people have Reddit accounts. Not a lot of people have an Ashes of Creation forum account specifically. But I think as long as they end up taking that video and maybe recording it and putting it up on their YouTube so that other people can view it, I think that would be really nice. But yeah, Overthrust's AMAs are... Go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say that I'm actually kind of surprised that people, if anybody was actually upset that it's on Reddit.
They're more so upset that it was on Reddit and not the forums, but I think that's some of the people that view Reddit as very, very toxic, to the point that they just don't want to go on Reddit at all. And so they're feeling like the group of people that kind of hang out the most on the forums are like feeling a little bit left out. However, they do host a lot of forum specific things that they post over to Reddit, like the feedback. They initially had feedback or like Q&A available on just the forums, etc. So there's a bit of conversation there, but yeah, I don't know. Keep an eye out. Mark your calendar for that. We'll see what questions they ask and answer. I don't like
yourself. That Reddit AMA is not today. Earlier today, I thought it was. And I got all worried because I was like, it was like 5-something o'clock, and I said, oh man, I gotta hurry up and try to get that Reddit AMA video, because I gotta at least watch it before we go live, right?
Yeah.
I got nothing but head scratches, and isn't that on like the not today
next week
date?
That being said, I had just done a lot of like research on topics and stuff today, so I already knew But the next thing I want to bring up, I don't know if you've seen this Voxov, is this lovely photo of, I think maybe in-game, maybe it's concept art from Ash's Twitter. And it's a nice little spooky scene, perfect for this holiday season. A lot of people are kind of anticipating the new... I actually can get you the specific media if you would like.
Oh yeah, I see that. Yeah.
For putting up on the screen, love.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting it right now.
I have it right here if you want me to just send it straight.
Oh, I got it pulled up. I'm just getting it adjusted.
Cool. But this is their, it's October 22 wallpaper. I'll just send you guys the direct link as well, so you don't have to go through it. Okay, bye, Aberrat. Thanks for stopping by.
Aberrat, later. Have a good night, and thank you again for stopping by, spending time with us.
Absolutely. I was thinking, because I've been playing D&D a lot, you walk into a field and a grungy fog begins to swirl in around you, and looking ahead, you see nothing but red eyes peering back at you as creatures begin digging their way out of the ground and stalking towards you. In the air, you hear the sounds of crows cawing and swirling as if hunting for their prey, and the steady thumping of something large approaching off in the distance. That's what this gave me feels for. Yeah, it's actually, I think it's supposed to be a background desktop thing, and there's definitely an undead person there eating what looks to be some sort of tank person that had horned helm stuff. So Necromancer Summers, a months. What are your thoughts on that, Voxov?
It's a neat picture. I think those are the undead that they featured in the last live stream. So it's fun to see them kind of implementing them in a way that we may see kind of atmospherically in game. But yeah, the things in the background are really interesting to me. Like, whoa, what are these constructs?
Yeah,
the eyes and the larger, almost kind of elemental or columnist type of things.
Weren't those things in a previous like fundraising pack there? Not a fundraising, but a backer pack.
I don't recall. Maybe.
I think they were like the little minis, like a mini pet type thing sized.
Yeah.
I swear there was like little mini weird muck golems.
So Lee says that better not be a dwarf.
What if it is? What you can do?
The rest of the stuff I have here is just some fan focus things, some mainly memes, but also Amist got a tattoo, an Ashes of Creation tattoo recently.
He did.
He did. And it is the Doggett, the dog rabbit combo. I'm actually going to intro a dwarf in my next vid, and I will have to get him a booster seat so he can see over the bar. Oh, that's kind of cute. Jalon likes to pick on me lately because I have to but I have to sit on a pillow when I drive because I can't see over the steering wheel very well.
I found it, by the way. It wasn't a pet, it was a mount.
Oh, okay.
Graveyard Golem. That was a mount.
Graveyard Golem. What were you going to say, Voxov?
I don't know in particular to what, but in terms of the tattoo, it looks awesome. And anyone else posting tattoos, drop a name to your tattoo artist too, because they work really hard on those. They deserve credit.
Absolutely. Kid-sized TV. Yeah, Togli did a voiceover with Burgund for ours, so. Hey, Wizzy. The fact that she got an AC tattoo made me giggle. Yeah, honestly, somebody asked me if I would ever get a tattoo, and I would get another tattoo, but I don't know if it would be nerd-based, mainly because I don't know how long my interest in that thing will be, whereas my interest in like floral things or moons and stuff like that is kind of lifelong at this point. So
Yeah, I will get a tattoo of the first armor that I'm really proud of getting with my tank. See, it does a few things. It does a few things though. See, it makes sure that I play it long enough to get to like max level and get armor that I have to actually fight for. And so I'm gonna know if the game's gonna be lasting long enough for me to be super excited enough to get ink put on my body forever. Because you know I've been wanting to get something on my other shoulder blade. Maybe that'll be part of it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wisp Oak tattoo next. Do get AOC tattoo, then Intrepid closes its doors. What Steven Sandal tramp stamp. Oh yeah. The ashes flower that with the petals that drop upon death? Maybe. Birthday date of Grist Babe. What? But yeah, aside from that, there's some interesting little memes. I'll just kind of share them out to you guys. But is there anything else that you want to chat about, Voxov?
That covered so many great points, and I know we're already running a little after. The only thing I'll leave to people if they want to think about going forward for their own designs and fan art is with Halloween coming up, the graveyards are awesome. Consider also this one we saw in this image is very Eastern and European, or Western, I should say, in European style. But there are so many different types of burial ceremonies and views of death and undeath. They could do a lot of really neat things. And if you want to inspire them, remember to put it in your own concepts and art as well, that spooky things aren't necessarily just people that come back from the dead. So let's see some neat Halloween stuff. Yeah,
I am super excited to see. They will be announcing, I'm sure, soon, their glorious gourds that they've been doing every year up until at least last year. Maybe they'll be doing it this year. They're keeping it in suspense as much as possible, it seems like. And I always love seeing the art that comes out of that as well, and the creativity.
Yeah, glorious gourd stuff is something that makes me wish I had more artistic skills with, because I see some really cool stuff come out and I want to make that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's some really, really amazing stuff. But even if you are a person who's looking at that stuff and thinking like, wow, I wish I could do that. The thing is, skill sets are often pretty specialized. So you might think, well, I can just do something raw. But the person who drew that really technical thing may think, wow, that is so cool and creative and organic, and I wish I could do that. So don't hold yourself back. Submit something, guys. Everybody submit something. It's going to be awesome. I will try if I have time. I might not practice what I preach here, but submit something.
That's Voxov saying, I want to see your stuff. Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
I don't know what your time is like this evening, but are you working on getting the memes up for tech? Okay, I will keep stalling then.
Oh, no, I got them ready.
Okay, I was just stalling and waiting to see them pop up on the screen.
Oh, yeah. We're good. I'll shift over to one of them right meow. Here we go. The hardest choices require the strongest wills. This one's not like a whole lot of funny, but it is interesting. Like they do kind of balance around the feedback. Somebody that's all about the action, and somebody who's upset that it's not actiony enough.
Yeah.
Never.
I'm not even.
I won't repeat that, but I'll say it's funny. It's funny. Lordy.
What makes it fun to be a game dev and read it and think like, well, we'll take this feedback, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, perfectly balanced as all things should be.
Mm-hmm. I do
So
say.
here you go. Oh, go ahead.
I do want to say it is nice seeing that people aren't afraid to disagree with like a lot of other people because it's just their feeling instead of, just going with the flow and then not being as happy with everything. It's nice that Intrepid and Ashes of Creation as a game is offering their followers and their fans that space to be able to have that conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people might not even remember, but early on, Stephen had said there won't be anything like daily logins. And then actually for a while he said, yeah, there'll be daily logins. And there was a pretty immediate retort to that, and people didn't really like that. And they said, that's kind of more of a predatory behavior games employ. And Stephen said, well, let's check in on that. And then they actually did research and they were like, oh yeah, that is something that games kind of just use to lure people in. It's not really gameplay. It's just kind of more of a hook, which is a kind of negative behavior. So he committed to not having those type of login bonuses. And I believe they're trying to avoid more of the repetitive dailies quests as well. So
Yeah.
They're taking feedback for sure, and they're actually taking some time to process it. But just like Steven says, leave detailed feedback, and that way they can act on it more rather than just having someone say it's great, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But this feedback here actually isn't too bad.
Give reasons and thoughts, not just reactions.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you can tell the small part, but somebody was saying, I would like to ask what was the logic behind giving a streamer who rarely ever covers your stuff keys, is what I'm assuming the rest of it is supposed to be. And this is just Steven talking about, the fact that they're just keys that wasn't like E2 packages or anything, which he did this before. He gave out keys to other people. Oh no, we got a Champion of the Hill redeem.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
Time to watch this. Oh yeah, look at that. It's all Halloween themed.
I love it.
Better join in while you can.
Yep. You got 1 minute to join. Battle to the death, you guys. Also, the things that go flying out, those are the different weapons. So there's like pillows and things. But yeah, hop on in. Let's see who gets in there. But I'll just go ahead and read it. Steven says, greetings, friend. Not everything Intrepid does will be rooted in analytics or for the best return on investments. This is part of what sets us apart from other companies. I interact with people, not marketers or content creators. Sometimes they have large audiences and sometimes they don't. As we approach A2, you'll see more of this with different people that I help foster an inclusive and enjoyable community. Also, the 10 keys he got were not packages. They're A2 keys only for him to hand out as he sees fit, which I think they were trying to do. That's what the whole content creator thing is going to be about. And oh man, people flying out left and right. There goes Vertec.
Who is it? Oracle the White is the new champion using an iron.
Nice.
Came to fight while doing laundry. That's fantastic. Fantastic. That's commitment right there.
But rigged. Yeah, I think we're gonna see that more as like they get closer to finalizing the whole content creator thing, giving content creators that are part of their program things that they can give out. I know Vertec and I always try our best to try to win keys during their 24-hour charity stream so that we can then give it away to you guys. We've asked every year just to be like, sure, like, because Vertec and I, we do have alpha access, so we don't need the keys ourselves, but we are allowed to win them and then give them away instead. Sorry, I would have won, but I forgot to turn my monitor on. Can I get a redo?
Get 20 minutes of cooldown, then you can jump in if you want to.
Yeah, I mean,
it's on a really long cooldown.
Maybe you can do it while you're waiting for us to come back with some food. But yeah, sorry. I didn't mean to detract from the conversation for so long. Sun was in my eyes.
But yeah, I mean, Steven's made his rounds. He's made his rounds. I mean, he's even popped on here with us. So, I mean, if you can pop on here with us when we were...
Baby.
I think we were only like 6 months into streaming or something like that.
We were baby.
So,
yeah,
we were baby. Definitely.
Welcome back, Bricken. Food, yes, food. Someone invited me. It was unfair.
It is about that food time.
It is. It is. I am low-key sitting here with my tummy growling like extremely loud. I'm so happy you guys can't hear it.
Well, then,
I'm
let's
very
start
hungry.
winding down to the break between. Did you have any other fun topics or anything you'd want to cover there, Voxov? We're not trying to like rush off and run away. If you have anything, we'd love to cover it in chat.
The only little thing that I just want to put in, maybe people can just use it just to think about as parting thoughts, because I don't know if we have any info, is, again, world very big. We know that there are regular mounts, that there are aquatic mounts, that there are pack mounts. So pack mounts, we know they're slower than other mounts. Will there be gliding pack mounts, and will there be aquatic pack mounts? I think there will be, but they'll be very slow. So again, we know also now the world very big, and there's going to be caravans. Our caravan's going to be moving at that really fast clip to cover the landmass as well. Our caravan's going to be something that are going to be moving quick enough that you're really going to have to hustle to chase after them, or are they going to be kind of slow and like a very all-day affair? There's a lot we don't know about the pacing of those things, and I'm super curious for more info about with a world that big, how speed is going to be affected by these different types of vehicles or venues. So something that to me is very interesting.
Yeah.
You know, you
That's a
said
good
something
point.
about gliding pack mounts, and the first thing I thought of is there's no way Steven's going to allow that. No way. But then I thought, well, what if it was a super slow and awkward to control creature until you got it gliding? So you'd have to actually climb up a mountain with this lumbering oaf of a creature that people are going to mistake it for nothing except for that one gliding pack mount. So they're either carrying stuff or they're going to get stuff. Either way, like you can RP walk and catch up to that thing. But if you don't catch up to it, it's gone with its gliding. It's just going to be really maneuverable in the air and be able to get to where it needs to go once you can get it in the air.
Yeah, or it could just be really slow even in there, and it's just a matter of, otherwise it's going to take like a day trip to get around a mountain. So are you going to risk taking that jump off the mountain with a glide, or and everyone sees you, or are you going to go all the way around the mountain? There's so many options, especially with the speed now matters so much in a world this big. I really want to see how they use it.
Overthrow says, what if it's like a bird pufferfish, so when you load it up it inhales and then glides down the mountain and exhales at the bottom? Yeah, just slowly floats down.
I mean, I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Tanks pulling it down with chains, says Cash Kush. That'd be neat. Because I was thinking, how much of a weird thing would it be if it could almost turn into a floating thing that people could actually grab onto and climb onto, like a giant, literally a mechanical glider that you could take from certain points to other points.
I mean, if you really want to theory craft it, we know that classes can make walls and like mages can make ice pillars. How many mages would it take to make so many temporary ice pillars if you had a guild to circumvent a cliff by making a bunch of ice pillars that a mount can jump down to and walk down a path of stairs, and then they shatter or dissolve in a certain amount of time so as not to be followed? There's a lot of kind of emergent gameplay that can come out of just travel. Now that the world is so big and it's going to take so long to move things. So rather than hopefully that Final Fantasy XI experience you had, travel will be something that people actually have to think about and utilize in a fun way, rather than simply, well, it's going to be 75 minutes of walking. I'm assuming that they're not doing that. So I'm wondering what they do have planned, because clearly they've been thinking about it a lot.
Now, before you said climb a mountain, I was thinking make like a road that's like lined with ice pillars just continually. So you could just have like an ice path taking you through the wilderness, so they would have to come from like far ahead and like tunnel down to you through like a gauntlet of sorts to get to you at the caravan?
I hope it's possible. That would be so cool. Even if it's totally impractical, I hope it's possible.
Yeah, it would be a whole lot of fun. But you would need a lot of mages to do something like that effectively, though. Get an entire 500-person guild of mages.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But hey, that's the type of gameplay to me that actually really stands out. Is like when you can just mess with the physics in a way that doesn't break the game. It complements the game, but it's just crazy and fun. And it's just like, why not let the players have that? I mean, the reason why not is because it's incredibly hard to program. But if they could, I don't think it's game breaking. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, like how some people at some points get flagged or reported for cheating or hacking, but then the developers come back and go, that's actually not hacking, that's just creative use of game mechanics. Yes. It feels cheap, but it was unintended, but it's not hacking, it's not cheating, it's just they used the game in a way nobody else thought of, so.
Exactly.
Good on them. Yeah, that's something to think about. I kind of like that. I kind of like that idea of, because they already said that mounts are going to be all designed differently, right? Like there's going to be different stats and different thises and that's for all of them. So
yeah, and they'll
maybe
vary
go to the
with
extent
breeding
like
too.
that. I like it. I like it. Well, I do believe hunger is going to start to get the better of us here in a minute. So, did you, friend Voxov, have anything you would like to leave the people with as we go to run away? And also, if you have the time, I don't know what your plans are, feel free to come back with us after the break and hang out.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, that's it. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to me and ranting here, but I really appreciate being on, and you guys have always been great. Thank you. Great topics.
Yeah, it was really nice to have you on again. But no, this is actually going to be my second meal for the day, Gruntag.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was nice having you on again. And it's been since 2019 since we last had you on, which is when we way back first to meet Golden Feather. So it's really nice to have you on again.
Thank you.
Yes. Always good conversation. Always love having you on. If ever you want to be on at some point, just let us know. Like if you have anything to announce or things that you say, oh my gosh, this thing they're about to talk about, this upcoming dev stream, it touches my soul. I need to talk about this. Just let us know. Maybe we'll get you on here.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Quite welcome. To everybody else, just hang out. We're going to do the usual 15-minute countdown. You're going to go grab some munchies, use the restroom, refill the water, and walk around to get the blood flowing again. We will be back. If you leave in the meantime, thank you so much for hanging out when you did. We really appreciate your conversation and your funnies and your poking funs at peoples in fun ways. Because there was plenty of that tonight. Yeah.
We hope you enjoy the music by both PGN Music and Malord while we are away.
And I'm going to try again tonight to get you varied music while we're away instead of just the same one song looping over and over. We'll see if I get it done right this time. New bots, new things, new everything. Either way, until next time, see you then.
Bye.
Bye-bye.